If you've recently left work, maybe you retired or you resigned or you were made redundant, it can leave you feeling a bit lost, as though you don't know who you are anymore, like your role defined you. But the truth is, you're not defined by your job title or your role. In today's video, we'll explore why we tie our identities to our job roles, and why changes in those roles can really shake our sense of self. We'll also look at 3 things you can do to rediscover your identity and start to rebuild that sense of self outside of work. I felt this sense of identity loss the most when I left the industry that I worked in for 10 years. But burnout, stress, and a desire to do something else led me to close the agency that I co-founded. I thought I'd feel a huge sense of excitement and relief, and I kind of did, but I also felt really lost. Now that I wasn't a business owner and a learning consultant, who was I? It led me to research why we feel so lost when we leave our jobs. Even as children, we're asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And the key word in this sentence is be. Society defines your entire being by your job role. And then as we become adults, the question turns into, what do you do? And while you can answer that question with anything you like, the person asking it usually means, what do you do for work? And the answer that you give will probably affect their perception of you in some way. Psychologists call this role centrality, which is the importance of a role in defining who we are. And it doesn't just apply to work, it applies to all the roles that we have in our lives. As parents, as children, students, siblings, spouses. The more central a role is to your identity, the more your sense of self-worth and meaning comes from that role. So for example, if you identify strongly as a doctor or an entrepreneur, it shapes your day-to-day activities, as well as your sense of purpose and how other people perceive you. So any disruption or change in that role can cause an identity crisis. And it's why redundancy, retirement, and career changes can be so difficult. Thankfully, there are ways you can rediscover your sense of self outside your job. I'm going to cover 3 different activities that I found useful when I was going through this. While most of my friends have been going out, travelling, and indulging in their hobbies in their 20s, I'd been working really long hours for promotions to climb the corporate ladder, and then I started a business. So most of my time and identity was tied up in my work. So when I closed my business, I didn't know who I was. The advice that I kept coming across was to write down all the things that I found exciting, but I was so burnt out, I was emotionally numb, and nothing was exciting. So I needed to find a different approach to start rebuilding my sense of self. Because I was at a really low point, I was talking to friends and family for support. I mentioned that I was unsure of myself and didn't really know which direction to go in next, and that I would really value their opinions. So I asked them a few questions to help me understand their perspective on who I was outside of work. I remember asking them 3 main questions. What hobbies and interests do you associate with me? What do you think I'm good at? And what do you think I would enjoy doing for work? You don't need to ask these questions in person or over a phone call if that feels uncomfortable. You could send them an email or some texts with some more insightful questions than the ones I asked. For a guide on how to do this, including more ideas and questions you could ask, go to emilyfable.com/identity feedback. I'll put a link in the description below. If you're feeling up to it, you can even answer these questions yourself. It'd be interesting to see how your answers differ to the answers of other people. To be honest, when I did this activity, I felt so low. I felt like I had no skills, talents, or interests at all, so I really needed the help of other people. They really helped me to broaden my perspective and realise that I was more than my job and I did have things to offer the world. After you've completed this activity, you should be starting to build a picture of who you are outside of work. The next activity builds on that. This activity is easier to do than the last one. You can do it on your own, just with a notebook and your own thoughts. And there's no need to be creative with new ideas, because this is looking backwards at things that you've already done. I call this activity How Far You've Come. All you need to do is write down things that you've accomplished in your life. Think about all the challenges that you've overcome, all the skills that you've developed, and the experiences and interests that you've got. This could be things like running a 5K, making crafts, renovating a house, becoming a parent, or being a carer to a loved one. You can include achievements from work in this list, but try to make sure you're including things outside of work as well. Take a look through your old photos for some inspiration. You could also map a timeline of important events in your life to help jog your memory, like when you moved house or graduated. Doing this activity reminded me that I had accomplished things in my life, which gave me a bit of a boost when I was feeling a bit low. So it helped me to zoom out and step back from the situation a little bit and see it in the context of my whole life. So the next step is to come up with an action plan to start rebuilding your sense of self outside of work. The best thing about this time right now is that you're at a transition point. And while change is difficult, it does present options. You get to decide who you want to be. I call this activity New You. It's got two simple parts. Take a look at your two lists from your friends and family and the one that you made yourself, and think about which ones you would want to take forward into your future. For example, if your friends and family said you were amazing at personal finance, that might be something that you're really excited about, or it might be something that you actually find quite boring and you don't really want to do any more of it. You just happen to be good at it. You get to decide. While you're looking at this list, also think about what's missing. So you may really want to spend more time with friends and family, but that's not something that's written down yet. To get me thinking creatively about the kind of person I wanted to be, I started with a really simple prompt. At the top of a page in my notebook, I wrote down, "You can be that person who," and then below it I wrote bullet points to complete the prompt. So these might be things that you want to accomplish, like owning your own house, or starting a side hustle, or getting a dog. But they can also be behaviours and qualities that you want to have more of in your life. For example, you might want to be a great storyteller, or always have a sense of positivity and optimism. Thinking about the qualities in the people that you admire can help you come up with this list. But remember, this isn't all about creating a completely new identity for yourself. There should be things in there that you like about yourself, that you want to hang on to, or even develop more. The next step is taking action on just one of those things. Pick the thing that's easiest, that you can just do straight away. If you really want to spend more time with your friends, then message one of them right now and arrange a meetup or a phone call. If you want to finally learn how to play piano, then find a teacher and sign up to a starter lesson. Or watch some beginner tutorials on YouTube. The main thing is that you're taking a small step towards the person that you want to be, and in doing that you're going to rebuild your identity beyond your job role. In the words of writer and political activist George Bernard Shaw, life isn't about finding yourself, life is about creating yourself. But there's one last thing to check after reconnecting with the person that you are and the person that you want to be. And that's to check your aspirations against your values to see if they're going to lead you to long-term fulfillment. To discover your values, check out the activities I outline in this video here. If you're ready to explore more ideas on living a life that you love, that leaves the legacy that you want to leave, then hit that subscribe button. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching.